Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Move for a Movement. I have with me here um, Sposatos from New York, Unique Movers Dance. Maggie Sposato is founder, and mother Donna is educational consultant.
Hi.
So Maggie Sposato and Donna Sposato. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk and happy to be here.
Same, I am as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Love to hear about people doing great work out there and organizations, how they make it work with their own models and what we can learn from that. Yeah. So on that note, I would love to hear either both of you, want to chime in on this, how Unique Movers evolved, how it came to be, and how the mission took shape as it did.
Yeah, sure. So I'd love to speak on that a little bit. So I grew up dancing since I was this big. I just kind of fell in love with it at a really early age. And, I did musical theater and I worked with a lot of different types of dancers and people. And I had the opportunity when I was about 12 at my dance studio, which is called New Canaan Dance Academy in Connecticut, where I was living at the time. Really wonderful people there. But they had a special needs class, is what they called it at the time. And I was offered to assist in the class. And it was really exciting. We went on Saturdays. I got to be with some of my fellow students from school, and I got to dance with them in class, which I wouldn't have done if it wasn't for that program at that dance studio. And I just really enjoyed it, and it made me feel very fulfilled. Sort of my first introduction to working in the dance space with those individuals. But of course, Mom, I'm sure you probably want to speak a little bit on this. Our big inspiration is my uncle Robbie, who absolutely just loves music and dance and has been kind of at all of my performances growing up and just standing there with a big bouquet of flowers and just so much joy all the time. And I guess the idea really came from, well, my mom came to me one day and was like, we should do a class. Like, we should combine, all of your dance community with Uncle Robbie's community, and it would be so amazing. So that's really where the idea came from. And we had our first event in June of 2018.
Yeah.
And we kind of just were like, let's try it out, see how it goes. And it was just like a smash hit. Like, it was just the best day ever. And from that day on, we just kept making them happen, and it just grew from that point.
Yeah, 100%. That first event was like a mini miracle in the sense that, my brother was there, Robbie, and, individuals from the community, individuals with all types of varying abilities. And, you have some of the, kids from the studio who are dancing and training professionally, competing and whatnot. They came into class, and I guess the design that Maggie came up with was to have a buddy for each unique mover. And we paired everyone up and, asked certain choreographers to come and join in. And there was so much support in the community, the directors from all of the studios and families and parents. And, you get in that room and you see a complete mix of individuals from all over with varying abilities, different interests. And then you have Maggie teaching and other choreographers, and the parents come in the room, and you have kids in wheelchairs and their parents are dancing with them. It was actually just that was the best day, and they continued to be incredible days, and so heartwarming that people reach out all the time and, when can you come back and do another event? And it's really special. It's been really wonderful. Really
I
has.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, so I'd love to hear, on that note, how the organization has evolved over the years, how it grew from that first event, as, perhaps
Yeah.
the mission sort of
Mhm.
evolved in different ways, or the approach to it. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about those evolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there was a lot of evolution. I was just thinking about that just now while speaking on it. When we first tried it, we said, okay, we're going to do a one-on-one buddy. We'll have these dancers that maybe dance at the dance studio, or mutual friends or students of mine pair up with the movers that we invite. And that was great because I remember that day there was like lifelong friendships that were made from
Mhm.
the buddies and whatnot. But as we
Right.
grew and had some more events, we started to really get a wide range of abilities and ages.
Mhm.
And I remember this one event we had in Westchester, we had so many walk-ins,
Yes.
and we
Mm,
had like babies that were like 5 or 6 years old. And then we had some wonderful teens that were in wheelchairs. And we had, my uncle who's older. And it was sort of unexpected in a lot of ways because we had all these walk-ins that hadn't pre-registered, but it was just marvelous to see all of the wonderful teachers we had adapt in the classroom, and to see just everyone communicate positively, and that dance and music really can bring every single person that was in that room together, regardless of 5 years old and 60 years old.
Mhm.
um, it was just really fun. Like, we had moms in there with their
Yeah.
babies. It was just wonderful. So I think as far as like the one-on-one buddy system and the structure has sort of become a little bit more open-ended, and it works. I think that sort of feeds into the whole mission that started Unique Movers, which was all ages, completely inclusive. So it only has become more inclusive from our first event.
Mhm.
Obviously, our first event was as inclusive as it could be, but we just have seen, that aspect of inclusivity just grow
Mhm.
so much. And I think that's my favorite part of the evolution of what we've done so far with Unique
Mhm.
Movers.
Mhm. Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah.
You'll hear about how you'll have children with special needs, and there's a lot of supports there,
Mhm.
in terms of programs, and you supporting it from the state or your town or the school. And then once those individuals hit adulthood,
Mhm.
those supports aren't as much there. So to have something like what Unique Movers offers, where it's all ages, anyone can come and find that connection through music and dance,
Mhm.
which is another thing that stuck out to me, just
Yeah.
exemplifying that incredible power of dance and art to connect.
Yes, that's an excellent point. In fact, that is very true to the fact that when Robbie was, a young boy, even then, my parents had trouble finding appropriate programs for you, if,
Mhm.
as you can imagine. And then once they
Right.
turned 18, that was
Mhm.
it. New York State, we're from New York State, surrounding areas, there were no programs going way back. Robbie's 58 years old now.
Mhm.
And, you went through the time period where there were those horrific stories of, Willowbrook and, kids being put in institutions and not being stimulated, not being included. And basically they told my parents, when Robbie was, a baby and growing up, that, and Maggie, this whole story, that he would never amount to anything from renowned psychologists, doctors, you name it. And my mom would leave these appointments in tears and,
Mhm.
just say, this is not how it's going to be. Robbie's going to be a part of society. And my mom and dad have always stipulated that and told Robbie, you are an integral part of our lives and society. And with that, I guess, you know, my girl seeing that, Maggie seeing that, being in the arts, being a performer in the industry, the idea of creating a class and starting this is giving these individuals of all ages and even the adults, where there are programs now, so much more available. But it's just, you know, kind of, giving in the arts, it's a little harder to find that, where, everybody, usually those classes are just, geared towards a certain disability, a certain interest. However, what Maggie has created, and I'm very proud of it and proud of her, is this sense that it's become even more inclusive, if you will, where you have kids of all abilities, adults. We had, like you said, babies. Some children couldn't even walk, if you remember, hardly stand. And the parents were holding them and moving them around. And when you see, the mainstream kids, and some of these kids are competition dancers and from all walks of life, taking them on and embracing them, and not thinking about, the steps or necessarily doing it to perfection. They're so involved with the room and the energy in the room and helping these varying communities that it's just so much love. It's overwhelming. Like Maggie said, it was magnificent. I don't know, parents were hugging and thanking, and dads were in there and cousins. It was beautiful. It was really special. Every event has been really wonderful, I have to say.
Yeah, I definitely like what you were saying about the dancers from, the competition world or wherever they're from experiencing something different. I think for me, and maybe for a lot of the dancers that assisted or were buddies at Unique Movers events, it kind of changes the way you look at dance a little bit, because it's so easy to get so pigeonholed and stuck into the industry and the way it is and its trends and whatever it may be. But if you think about it, there is, dance is as old as our earth. Like, people have been moving and dancing to music forever. It's practically primal. And although we think of dance and we think of the industry, like, it's so much more than that. People dance that aren't dancers, and I think that is what makes it so special. And it kind of reminded me as a dancer how much I loved dance as is, and not just the industry and everything that surrounded it.
Mhm.
So it really was beneficial for everyone in different ways, almost.
Yeah, 100%.
So many threads I want to pull out there. It's so beautiful. Love you. Yeah, right there in the name of movers, and I sort of struggle with this term, like in my writing work, or when I'm speaking about these types of things of non-dancer. I try to find that phrase of like those without formal dance training, like, so
Yeah.
because we all dance. There's dance art and concert dance, and that's one thing that we can call dance. But like Maggie was describing, that's really one drop in the bucket of what dance is and can be for humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you're saying, it has that powerful ability to connect. Like, it's right, like science is demonstrating and it's finding out more, but our mirror neurons, like literal neurons we have, that when we see another human move, there's something within us that is resonating with that is replicating that within ourselves.
Yes.
So in a class moving together and like mirroring or whatever you're doing, like there is literally something very powerful neurologically is happening, which is we learn more about the mind-body connection as well. There's something there happening literally in the body as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. And for myself, who was never a dancer, I can attest to that. Just watching people dance, and Maggie, you know this, I am so overwhelmed by the beauty and the art of it, all forms, and the music, and just the body, expressing itself, and, feeling free, and being their own unique selves. And that's what Unique Movers is all about. Everyone steps into that room and is their own unique self. And that is part of the mission, of course. And it affects the mind, body, and soul. And families and touches lives and hearts and builds confidence. I mean, honestly, I mean, what more could you ask for? That's like just it's to me, being in that room and watching it is a gift to me. That's how I feel when I watch Maggie and all these amazing choreographers and amazing movers and studios and directors and the dancers and families. You step back and you just watch it and you're completely overwhelmed by all the smiles on all their faces. And it's so gratifying. It really is very, very gratifying.
Yeah. I was curious also, in the room, you know, in one of these classes, and that incredibly inclusive, like whoever you are, whatever your ability is, here's a space for you here, and the sort of challenge that can present within the class atmosphere or for the teacher. I'm wondering about, because anytime you have something that's broadly inclusive, there is that challenge of like, because there are so many different needs. So I'm wondering about the approach of how to make that class, that atmosphere, what's ever happening, serve each individual person the best within the context of all those individual needs.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's definitely, I would say, the biggest challenge of hosting a Unique Movers event in the way that we have. The faculty that we've had have always been just marvelous teachers who know that, you know, no matter what classroom they're in, you can prep for, you know, a class, whatever, you know, it may be. But sometimes depending on who's in the room, you have to just like kind of go on the spot and cater it a little bit to those needs. And everyone we've had has been super great at that and just understood that that's sort of the name of the game. And I think going off of the theme of it's all about the enjoyment and the joy that comes from the class, both the faculty and the dancers and whoever's in the room understands that, okay, if we have to stop and sit down and just cool off for 5 minutes, and that's how, you know, the rest of the class happens, then we're loving it, you know. So no matter what happens, we're just going with the flow and, you know, just doing what kind of works for everyone in the room. Beyond that, in like more specific cases, I'm always floating around. My mom's always floating around. If someone needs something, we grab them and dance with them, or we get them water, or we go for a walk with them around the studio. Whatever it is, we're just sort of like eyes are everywhere, making sure everyone's having fun at all times. And that's really the priority, I think.
Yeah, and this idea of like a certain movement can be so many things. Like,
yes,
what's the like if a mover, if that's not within their physical capability, well, can they open and shut their eyes? Like, it's that, like, what is the essence? The open, close. And like you were speaking to, Maggie, I can imagine the teachers there understand that just by understanding movement at a deep level.
Yeah, definitely. We've had in the past, with our registration, we usually have a place where whoever is registering that mover will kind of write, you know, what their abilities are, maybe if they have anything that they can't handle, like certain sensitivities to light or sound. So with the pre-registered dancers that come in, we're pretty like ready to go with those specific things. However, you know, when you have someone standing and you have someone that's seated, when you're teaching, you have to keep in mind a turn, for example, is different for one person than it is for the next. So I think it's always important to give options when you're teaching steps, or I don't want to say, actually not really steps, I want to say choreography really, or movement rather, but also just being aware of your language choices is so important. And it's sort of just, it gets better the more you do it and the more you think about it, because the more inclusive your language can be, the better the experience will be for everyone, and just the better you will be at doing, these classes and just including people in general.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
It's really amazing. Yeah. If you sort of step back and look at cueing of movement and like what particular words, the messages they send, like physically or, mentally or spiritually, emotionally, like it really is incredible that the power just one small shift can make in that regard. Yeah.
Yes, that is true. So like Maggie said, it's, our eyes are all over watching, and it is reading the room, and also, as a special needs teacher, it is also you're reading the child or the mover, of course, first and foremost, but you're also reading the parents if they're there assisting. They, you can just, sense, you can walk over to them. I've walked over to parents and just said, or did you want anything? Is everything okay? Can we help? And they will tell you if people feel comfortable. And that's another thing. Maggie greets everyone when they come in. There's, you check in, everyone's given a t-shirt so that when they're on the dance floor, everyone's wearing their unique movers t-shirts, and already you've created this image and feeling of inclusivity. Everyone's on the same playing field. And that was a great idea, Maggie, of yours, to have the t-shirts for everybody. I think they love them. I see sometimes the kids posting them on Instagram wearing them. It's so cute. And, so it is about reading the room as well. And that is, all very important. The cues, as you said. Yeah, 100%.
And it's also incredible, just speaking to the power of language and what you were just saying, Donna, of that feeling of making someone welcome, how that can put defenses down. And if you think of loved ones or caregivers of those with special needs, like it can be exhausting, which I'm sure from your brother's experience, is just the appointments and and there's a meltdown and I can't deal with this today.
Yeah.
And what it could mean to just have someone welcome you.
It is, speaking from experience, I get a little teary-eyed even thinking about it. My brother had been to so many professionals, and my parents would say Robbie was like a barometer. He'd walk in, and if he liked the psychologist or whomever he was seeing or being evaluated by, if he liked them, boy, was Robbie receptive and ready to go. But if he sensed there wasn't really that genuine feeling of being welcomed or interest, he shut right down. And that's the same for all of us, I believe. That's a human trait. That's just, the nature of all of us. And so, greeting people at the door and making families and parents and all movers, everybody, feel that the environment is a safe environment for them to be their unique self, is, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think being genuine and showing that, like, there's no, for example, if someone comes in and they've been there for a while and, the parents kind of watching the kid, maybe they're a little tired, we're right there to say, thank you so much for coming. Like, feel free to head out whenever, if that's, what you need to do. And it's about everyone that's there, to enjoy. It's not about us as unique movers, as the organization. It's just really, really about seeing the smiles and having a fun day and bringing joy to people and just being human and being full of joy. I think that's there.
Yeah, it's just being caring and embracing one another and seeing all communities come together. And it is, some people do come in, unsure, and their walls may be a little up, or you don't know what their prior experiences have been, and maybe they're thinking my mover has to perform, like he or she, or they keep up, or, and it's a lot. And so I think it's our job to make sure they feel extremely comfortable. And Maggie's right when she says the choreographers that Maggie has had over the last few years are exceptional humans and have been exceptional teachers, and just have taken it on as if they were doing it, forever. And it's great, really nice, really nice. Yeah.
Some big names I've gathered as well have stepped up
Yeah.
to the plate and taken on the
Yes.
challenge.
Yeah, and they're so yeah, it's been great.
Amazing. Yeah, there's almost like some great segues to this next question there, but I'll pick back up on that. You both reference your prior experience or current experience, other things that you do. For Maggie, being a performer in New York, and for Donna, you've worked in education and special education extensively.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, for both of you in different ways, how that experience, the current work, intersects, is in conversation with this work with the unique movers, and how certain things might be different, how you've had to maybe leave certain things at the door, and how that process of taking those skills, maybe modifying them. Yeah, all of those complex dynamics. If you could speak to that in any way that resonates with you.
Yeah. Mom, do you want to go first?
No, that's a really great question. I'm thinking about it. Unless
I think the first thing I'm thinking of is, it kind of plays with the thought that I was saying earlier, in terms of, dancers realizing that there's more to dance than just the history and what they're familiar with. I think I have been lucky enough to make a lot of relationships. We have been lucky enough to make a lot of relationships with other organizations that do different things, like Special Olympics, and we work with Angela's House and some other really great organizations, and I've spoken to them and had phone calls and just learned a lot about what they do outside of the dance field, which is helpful in terms of how I can see what they're doing and apply it to what I'm doing, and kind of have it a merge of what I know from the industry, but more about the education side of working with these individuals.
Great point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For myself, being obviously my inspiration was my brother, and I am inspired by the arts, and obviously I was inspired by my daughter, being a performer and professional in the arts, and all the years of watching it and really enjoying it. I love the arts, I love dance, and the merge, Maggie being able to merge that and create this platform, and my being able to just support it and bring my education background to it, has been wonderful, very fulfilling for me, a highlight of my career, to be honest with you. When I see my brother, tell me I have another dance event coming up and I have to practice, and he thinks he's Maggie's right arm at the events, he's on the board, he says. And then of course for me to see my parents, there's a whole nother forum of emotions that come for the family members, the siblings, parents, grandparents, on and on, friends, cousins. When I see my parents watch their son smile from ear to ear and feel free, accepted, for me, it's, just means so much to me, because they've dedicated so much to making Rob see his value and be feel his self-esteem. And for Maggie to do this and support this and create this, evolve it as it's been going on, is another gift for me and my family, especially Robbie and many others. And I can be more grateful, and I, look forward to seeing more smiles, many more smiles, many more faces. People have been reaching out since COVID is starting to settle down. People have been reaching out from different other, like you said, Maggie, we have Angela's house from Long Island. They're medically fragile children, and they've asked Maggie to kind of come on board and offer them dance and movement classes. And another individual from London, somehow she connected to Youth Movers and she's coming in to do a fashion show. And she has grandson has angel wings, and she wants to have Unique Movers be a part of it. Like, how fantastic is that? And then Dance the World events, the Disney Broadway show, they want Unique Movers to perform in their parade. And so it's definitely taking on and evolving, as you said, Catherine, right, Maggie? In so many directions, but all for the same and reason. And I know Maggie always says to me, I need to stay true to the mission. When we talk, right? You'll always say to me, that doesn't feel right for my mission. Like, and I respect that, because that is so important. That's been a really key element, I think, to keeping Unique genuine. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a crucial question of, for arts organization or any nonprofit or anyone with a key mission, that's how it started, is this true to the mission?
Yeah.
When there's a question of, do we do this, or what direction do we go in? What is true to the mission and what is not?
Yeah, that is true. I know we've discussed that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from each of you. And we've talked about the first part a little bit, the second part a little bit as well. One thing you are most proud of with Unique Movers, and secondly, one goal or maybe growth area, something to address. From each of you regarding the organization.
Okay, yeah. So I would say, I think it's goal first. I think my number one goal would be to kind of enhance the workshop. You can't really the workshop way we've been doing
model.
Model. That's exactly the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
It was lost my mind. So I would love to pass the workshop model and do other things, like fashion shows and performances and all that. I would love to do a performance where we can do like a little quiz. I just think that would be amazing. So that's my goal next year. And as far as I think that's both a goal and a challenge that I want to I guess it's really kind of both things in one.
That's great. Love it. For me, I think a goal I see is exactly, I think one of the goals was achieved, bringing Unique Movers to a competition. So yeah, it was great. It was up in Boston, and that was one of my goals. And Maggie was able to bring Unique Movers up there, and it was really well received. And the kids are still asking about it. So that was important. So that happened, and then moving forward, I'm on the same page with Maggie as far as the show and giving those sorts of opportunities. I can just envision it, and the community is going to come together. It would be just such an amazing, exciting time for everyone. I mean, I could just see it's just amazing. So that I have the same goal there, as Maggie mentioned. And the thing I would be most proud of is the purpose that Unique Movers have. And the obvious, my daughter do this and take her skills in art, do this and create this and spend the time on it and love it. That purpose for myself, you know, as a parent, as a mom, as a sibling of special needs brother, as a member of that community and being involved with it my whole life, that is all of what I am most proud of.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I think, Donna, you mentioned COVID, and it feels a little bit like the elephant in the room question. Like, this is just the water we're swimming in now, and we all have to pivot has become the cliche word with dance and how they've adjusted. And also going back to what Maggie was saying about staying true to the mission, I'm curious about how through COVID, the organization has adapted to keep that mission alive in ways that are true to the mission. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that we had a couple of opportunities to try some virtual. We did like a virtual, it was really cool, and we added a little bit of some classroom action. However, it's been really unpredictable, as everyone knows, in terms of like fitness spaces, and it's like when you get in a dance studio. So, and you know, on top of that, the big, you know, the best thing about Unique Movers is having so many people in a room, along with many other things that we love so much, and community and all that. So it's felt like a really long year, but at the same time, it's gone by so fast. We kind of just have been brainstorming what we can do when we come back and how best we can really go home once we're able to get back together. So
Yeah,
I would say that's pretty much where we're at. And my mom and I have worked at just kind of keeping in touch with people and making tips and, you know, using social media to connect with others. So that's pretty much where we're at in the past year.
Yeah, just keeping in touch with people as much as you can and reaching out. And a lot of people reached out during the pandemic. People are home, they're quiet, they have time to reflect. They start to maybe get creative in their thoughts and think about other things. They're not running in the rat race, right? So we had a couple of really interesting connections. Yeah. We look forward to hopefully coming to fruition and happening. And we're excitedly building now. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Beautiful. Yeah, and it's striking to think for those with special needs and their families of, you know, that rat race of just like you're saying, the appointments, they're going here and they're going there, and it's just such a busy life. And then all of that sort of goes away. Yeah. It's just to think, but you know, the connection and the time together and the reflection that can come from that. Yeah. Definitely be something that's come out of this time is difficult as it's been.
Yes, I agree. Everybody's been saying that. You know, time with loved ones or time with yourself is important. So you have to find some good in all the difficulty, because then you can grow. again. You can resurface and go again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And dance is that vehicle of
Mm.
connection. Like there are many ways to connect, right? And those people that were craving that and reaching out. And yeah, I was thinking that before of dance as the vehicle. It's not, the movement is beautiful and it's wonderful when you should all do it, but it's like the vehicle for something so much larger.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that kind of, if anything, also like from a cognitive space, just in COVID and not being able to do the typical dance model that we do, I realized there was a lot of other things that we can do with unique movers that kind of expands off of plays into music and other educational and enriching experiences we can all have together.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And to start to kind of wrap up, tie a bow off, I am curious about what you both might be thinking about the future of the organization, the future of this inclusive dance space. It can be risky to make predictions. It is also unpredictable right now. But any thoughts you might have there, I would love to hear. What it looks like, what it feels like, trends, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So one of the things we did during last year, trying to pivot from saying during COVID and say about it, but we became a nonprofit. That was really exciting.
Congratulations. That's a big step.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Maggie. It's a lot of work.
That'll sort of open up things for us. And I think as far as trends, virtual is kind of easy to say in a lot of ways because it gives us the ability to so many people at one time if they cannot be in the So I think there are definitely ways that we can have events, but then also into the virtual as well. Just move forward in that way. Use the virtual aspect of ways that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you think
I see the same. I follow your lead there, and I see the same. And I'm excited to continue to grow it, learn, and just let it blossom even more. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's one beautiful thing about this time. Like you were saying, there are these good things that are helpful to recognize and just truthful to recognize. This whole new world of offerings that weren't previously available to us because they weren't being presented virtually, because it's just not how not all things were done that way.
Yeah.
In different regions, if you couldn't feasibly travel there,
it
just wasn't accessible. So
right. Mm-hmm. That's true. So, in essence, the virtual helps you be even more inclusive.
That's true.
It's amazing. It's just,
if someone on the West Coast, for instance, this kind of program that kind of thing isn't out there. There are a lot of great inclusive dance programs out there, Access, like that.
Yeah.
But it's this kind of thing, if they couldn't get to it, but virtual space, maybe now will be.
Yeah. And then if, Maggie, you end up doing a show next year, as you were mentioning one of your goals, that's something you can stream and people can watch it all over. And the pre-recorded free class that you're offering in April, that's going to be an easy access for kids everywhere. So people can just get the link, sign into it, and then their students or their clients can take the classes any day and every day after that.
Yeah.
And they can connect with the choreographers and learn some moves and do it at their own pace, in their own environment where they feel, comfortable. And sometimes they can't travel, and especially with COVID. So it is a wonderful means by which to reach even more people, if you will. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, that's in April, you said?
Yes, April 11th, Maggie? April 11th.
It's coming up. We'll have to get that information out.
Aw, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for your time, for sharing your insights. I want to open up the space if there's anything else we didn't hit on that you want to say before we close out.
I'll leave that to you, Meg.
I think I'm just excited to keep going and continue to make these, special relationships, connect people, and create more community. The most important thing that we need as humanity right now is this community. So I'm excited to use it to build more.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I love it.
yeah, agree.
That's like an Instagram quote, the most important thing.
Yeah, the most
Cliche, but
yeah,
a good Instagram quote. The most important thing we can do right now is humanity is to connect. Absolutely agree.
that is excellent. Yes, agreed. Yep. Wonderful, wonderful. Mhm.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you everyone who's tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Share it with a friend who you think might enjoy, learn something, etc. from it. And we will see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Bye.
My
Bye.
pleasure.
Thank you.